for the Mexico Beach Planning and Zoning Board of Order. It's 1,800 hours. What we'll be working on tonight is determining the vision for Mexico Beach, and I have a big spiel for all the public to be here. The public that's here has already heard it, so I don't need to do that. Can you guys come up here so I can face the council? What I originally envisioned doing
Bring a chair.
is, somebody can sit in my chair.
Yep. That's some right here.
Yeah, I can also move back there.
We got enough free chairs. There you go.
And we will,
Hey, we love to have you. We need one.
okay, this is the representative from the Planning Collective that is actually going to rewrite the comp plan. And she'll be at each one of our meetings in the future. And what again, as I mentioned earlier, what I envision doing tonight is developing the vision that we have for Mexico Beach is for the future, about 10 to 20 years out. Because nowhere in the current comp plan does that appear. So once we develop that, then it should be easy to go through the different sections of the comp plan, like transportation, housing, recreation, all that stuff. As soon as we know, we can determine exactly what we want to be. So there's really 4 questions that I want answered tonight. In this first one, describe what we have now. What do you think Mexico Beach is now? Okay, because again, like nowhere in the comp plan does it describe what we are. And I'm sure that we all have different ideas as to what we are. After we determine that, if you're happy with what we are, then we'll continue to try and be that. If you think we should be something else like the new Panama City Beach, then we need to work at that too. So that's what we need to determine. So that's the second thing. What are we going to be? And then once we determine what we're going to be, what values do you want the community to reflect? You know, we want to do traditional family values, we want to be big business, or whatever. Property rights, all those type of things. So we need to identify those values. And then finally, what I've got down here is how do we want to organize the city? Okay, right now, the city is organized with most of the tourist stuff located to the west of 15th Street. General residential stuff for people that are here for pretty much full time, according to the current comp plan, is east of 15th Street. Do we want to continue with that, or do we want to intermingle things, or what do we want to do? So that's what I look at planning on doing here. And I think once we've got those questions answered, then the future planning workshops will go pretty smoothly. And then at the end of what we've got tonight, we'll determine when we're going to have our next meeting based on availability of everybody participating in this one, since we don't know what that's going to be. Does anybody have any additional things that they think we need to address?
Maybe who are we trying to serve? Is it just citizens, or is it tourists also? A lot of times I'll hear the public comment.
Come on up here.
What?
Come on up here.
Why?
So you can see what's going on.
It's a working group. Oh.
I'll give you a chair. I don't move to that.
There's a chair here if you want.
Okay.
I think it sort of falls under what are we? Are we a
You can.
residential community? Are
You
we
can
a
go up
tourist
around if
community?
you want to.
It's sort of.
Yeah, what do you, okay, let's go around the room. Who do you envision us, when we develop the comp plan, who should we be serving?
I think property owners,
Yep.
And anyone else?
well,
Residents.
residents that are property
Residents
owners,
are
so I would
property
say
owners.
property
Jack?
owners.
Well, I agree with both of those, and I just ask, I don't know, are we also trying to shape this community when you say maybe there should be businesses in other places, that sort of thing? Is that to serve the residents and property owners, or also people that come down for 3 days, people that come down for a week, people that drive in for a day? I'm just trying to get the big picture here of who we're doing this
I think
for.
your priority sort of goes right in that order. Property residents, property owners, tourists, because that we are a tourist community. We serve the tourists, and the day trippers, they're down here because they drive in, don't buy anything, leave their trash from the beach sometimes, and leave, that's.
Grab a chair and come on up here.
So, yeah, that sort of falls in there. Tourists we have to address also, but I think the primarily are those of us who live here, own property here. And some property owners don't live here all the time. They own property and they come, it's a vacation property. But they're still in there because they have invested
Could you use a black
financially.
marker?
I don't have a black mark.
Oh,
Here's a blue one, pretty,
I know, he's already got,
organized,
It's like
city,
around that order.
not political.
Join all here.
We'll make you a privileged person, or they will. I'm just here as a privileged person myself.
There, that's better.
Thank you.
Do you see a difference between a property owner and a resident?
Yes.
Because some property owners aren't residents,
Don't live here.
and we've got residents that aren't property owners. so.
Majority of property here is owned by Vacaville people.
So all insurance.
I'm sorry, what?
No.
Are they allowed to vote?
Nope,
There's a difference between a
registered to vote
tourist
here?
and a resident.
Nope.
You have to be a resident to register. I mean,
Yeah, well, comment on this?
Sure.
Or we-
I mean, does anybody see another group other than these three? Because once we determine what we want to be, those are going to fall in order.
I think business owners.
yeah, I was gonna say business owners. You know, we do have businesses here currently. Now, they may probably already fall into the resident category, but,
Not necessarily, and, you know, without the businesses, then if you don't have the amenities for the tourists, the restaurants or whatever, then
and they serve the residents also.
the economy's gonna not do what you want it to do.
I see it a little differently, and maybe it's because I sit on a different board. But instead of seeing it all broken up like that, I see that broken up basically as city from the board, as what comes in front of us. But all of those, I want to look at the citizens, I think that's part of our culture, whether they're here for 24 hours or 3 weeks. I think we as a city try and treat them all as one, as citizens.
Well, I don't think we're looking at breaking them down into different groups, it's just who do we need to concern about? Who do we need to serve? Is there another category?
I think that's what you throw in the business owners.
I think, you know, part of, you're working on a comprehensive plan, so somewhere in there, you've got to talk about those as future owners and future residents and future people.
Well, the future falls into future property owners, future
Right.
residents, future tourists, all
Right.
that falls into.
Right.
So maybe the way, but there might be a difference in what he's describing, and what he's describing might pertain to how you're going to attract future people. Or are you going to maintain?
Well, and what kind of future people do you want to attract?
That is phase two on what we
She,
want to look
she
like.
hasn't heard my
Do we want to
philosophy.
maintain what we've got, or do we want to change it?
You ever heard of Mexico Beach? No, good.
Good.
We don't need any.
Okay, so is this, the four groups we're basically looking at right here, that's who we're looking to serve.
Just got this.
Okay, what I'd like to do now is to break down into work groups. Can I get this side of the room to be one group, and then this side of the room to be another group? And what I would like you to do, we should be able to do this fairly quickly. What, take 10 minutes and describe the community as you see it now. What kind of community do we have? What values do we reflect now? You don't need to list the values. Basically, you all talk together and come up to be able to describe to me in a sentence or two or three what kind of community we have now. Same thing over here. And then what we'll do, when you're done, let me know, and then we'll have one group present, the other group present, we'll take some notes up there, and then we'll open up for discussion among everybody else, try and come to a consensus of what kind of community we have now.
So would you agree, would we have a sleepy little club?
Yeah, we are.
So,
all right, want to cluster up here?
yeah, it seems like
And as far as
Sometimes I
values,
need to
traditional
throw out
family values. We're not
words
going
to
to
get
be,
started.
certainly
We don't
don't
need
be
to-
a Panama City Beach.
a long, very nice, and done.
But we don't want
No.
Like you were.
It's for
I think
people
that's
that
the
have come down
keywords
here
that-
for years, like
Are
my
we
wife is from Baker,
overcrowded?
she's been coming down here since she was that hot.
It's not just that, it's also, I think, it's.
Tourists,
I
tourists have to have something to do with our community. Grow so quickly during the tourist season, and that creates revenue and challenges for us.
Yeah, this is a family vacation, you wanna come down and bring your family down, it's a great place to
And
come.
it's friendly, and it's safe.
Yeah, that's it, it really is.
It
And
is.
that's
Why
what
is
you
the
determine
people,
where it's
friendly, beach, without any.
It should fall right.
Yeah. It's safe,
Low key.
beach, family
Those are the
values,
common things that
friendly.
people say, and those are the things that they want to keep.
And I think your point was that.
But they don't
everybody
get into the
treats-
specifics of
Specific.
what those
Yeah.
actually mean.
Hospitable, if you want, yeah, that,
I was talking
Yeah, that
to
kind of thing.
Hospitable.
Beth last night, and I said, when you get it, you have to get into the specifics. What makes us
Have any
quaint?
ideas?
And she and I were talking, it's the funky east side with all its crazy housing that everybody loves.
Small community.
Because if that would change,
We
it
all
would
help each other.
make us a
Yeah.
cookie cutter place.
and I think that's it, and depending on what neighborhood you're in now, we are spread out one way, but I'm on the east end, I'm down Third Street. And we're primarily, we have a few rentals in there, but primarily, we know each other right around in there, if somebody needs something to take care of, I mean, you keep an eye out, it's not a neighborhood watch, but
I can find.
We're keeping an eye out for it. And I would assume the other areas in town.
Some on the same, and I've got
Vision
a lot of.
that was done by a group of Mexico Beach people. It was Paul Francis, Bob Ginsberg, Gary Gibbs, several others.
not
business
down on
people
the beaches
here.
on the east end, they're all,
It's
they,
inland.
It's vital that this
Yeah.
group see
yeah.
So
They're all-
the concerns they had about the problems and what they wanted
So, was there once something
for us to
that
be, and they went
provided
3
rentals to be
years,
in a
5 to
certain
7
part of
years,
town?
8 to 10
It is-
years,
it-
now
well,
it's
it's-
years out.
It's in the.
It's in the
and a
compound,
lot of it
the
is still the
zoning
same thing
for that kind of stuff, I
we're
think, if I
talking
remember
about
right, is up, is
Because
only on the
nothing
western
changed.
side. The
Well, but I think a
eastern
lot's
side is
changed.
pretty much,
I mean, that's 10 years ago.
That's-
residential,
Nothing
single lots,
changed in terms of
no
getting it done.
multi-units, there are a few triplexes along
Yeah, I-
there and all that.
I guess I see some
It-
changes in
It
some-
was aimed more at individual.
Describe some of your
houses.
words, and it just having worked in tourism marketing here quite a bit. I'm friendly, family-oriented, quaint, a lot of the
Well,
the words that you used, uncrowded beaches.
Well,
Some of the other things I
Well,
think about
now
would like
that's-
to change, just from what I experienced.
and I don't know how it stands right now, because we do have
More often people
down
will
there,
tell me what they
you know,
don't want.
people
their
rent out their
community to
houses,
be than
either
what they
short-term
want.
or long-term.
We
People
don't
have
want to be Panama
houses,
City. We
and
don't
there's some
want to be, I hear
VRBO
that
and things like
more
that
often
that
than
they rent
anything
out.
else. And so when
Yes.
it comes to the
Can't
public,
really stop from doing that, that's fine.
But that,
you know,
but that
we're on our way down a
Those
slippery
out
slope
there.
to strip clubs like Panama City.
That big
They
one.
have their own private beach, and they're not allowed to rent.
I don't know, I think it's market demand. if-
I don't know, I don't know.
Oh, please, let's
It
not
might be.
mix it up in.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think there's enough demand for it. But the other thing that I would say that probably is a change.
Well,
over the
see, and
last
that's
10 years,
anywhere in
it's a
Mexico
walkable
Beach, I think we find that down there.
with
where
the
we are.
sidewalk that we
If
have.
you get-
And if you're out and
somebody
about,
rents out the
I
RVO
live right
or
on
Rowdy,
98, so I see
you know,
it from
and the
the
neighbors
time the
might
sun
not
comes
like
up
it,
until
but-
late, whether it's 14-year-old kids walking and talking on their cell phones.
And
or
sometimes
military people
well,
that run early in the
they'll
morning
be gone
to walk their
tomorrow. They're
dogs.
only
Because of
here
that
for a while.
sidewalk, it's
And
changed
pretty much the
the
renters are
dynamic
not,
of this community.
They're more like families.
well, they are
We
family.
could walk to the coffee house,
It's not like
I don't know if that
spring
coffee
break.
house would have the same
Spring
revenue.
break,
it
we will
does if
see,
people walk
there's some
up and
houses
down
on
the sidewalk
98
as much as they
facing the
do.
beach, and you will see all the trucks in there,
Well,
bunch of
I also
college kids and
think-
everything.
I think we are,
Back
even
to the beach
though
and back, and yeah, they're having a good time, but you know.
in large
they're
part
gonna be
reluctant
gone.
to change,
And
we are
and
relative.
it only really affects the people right next to it, and it might be
A little bit of attention.
more those, if you
I
live back
think,
a
you know,
block or
from
so
a
off the
fishing
street.
standpoint, I just want to
bother
mention,
Yeah.
I'm not very too worried about it. I would want
one
to see,
ramp off of 98.
it would open up
And then the ramp
anything
over on
before
That's just
46
my, that's
opens
just my
up
perspective.
The new ramp
over there, because it is, we are
We went
residential.
from a sleep.
If I want some, I should walk to go to, yeah, I don't, and
Accessibility.
the zoning
for
right now
outdoors
wouldn't do
to
that
a
anyway
ramp
unless you change the
that
zoning,
has,
so.
You know,
I'm
on a
sure
busy
happy with that.
weekend, there's 100 and some cars over there in trailers. So you increase the flow
Where do you live?
of fishing, which is revenue, and,
Yep.
you know, they're gonna come down, some of them are gonna come and go, and some of them are gonna stay.
Be back there.
So,
And people will remind you when the canal is closed, but I can tell you from the past, it was almost open less days than it was closed, so it wasn't unusual for that sandbar to be blocking it most of the time. And so now this is a good flow. Most of those people can put their boat in and trust that they're gonna go out there and fish or ride, whatever they're
Well, the
doing.
golf club now, and that's one thing, the proliferation of golf carts. We do
Yeah,
have
there were days
rules,
that
and
Chuck
I don't know
Gilbert
that's,
would just
that
go
even
through on the charisma and just blow the sand out with the
Yeah.
prop and go behind him, that's
The
what.
golf carts have proliferated, and there are
Well,
rules.
you came from out of town.
And there are rules that you have when you register your golf cart.
Come here, or
One of them is, you have to have a
Was there
driver's
anything
license to
that
drive a golf cart.
jumped out in your mind?
Kids, I mean, I've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
But where we
And they're
are,
going
there's
small
no-
town.
you know, there's nothing back there.
Yeah.
And
So,
parents feel sorry.
and there are a lot of golf carts running around, as long as they're driven safely, I don't mind. Oleander is a one-way street going this way, they're always going down the wrong way.
So,
But,
small town,
Sorry.
small town on
I have
July
to-
4th.
I live on Fifth.
I was wondering what your definition is.
Small, yeah, it's,
Oh, so
So
you-
the law basically sets the position of the owner.
That was
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
night, that,
Come tentatively.
Yeah.
commercial.
They need to be, the LDR
Last
needs
week
to
of
be
August,
definitely
first week of
Those people
September.
were pretty upset, I think.
Who was that?
The people who live there on Seventh and at that Paradise Cove.
Oh, that last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but just because, just because that's changed to commercial doesn't mean it's gonna be a nightclub going in.
We've talked about.
Commercial, it helps that guy that sells property,
Tourism
and we were,
aspect to the scene.
talking last night,
But I also think it's time that the town.
Jack was talking about, there's no office space for small, he's got a consulting business or
According to
something
the
like
chief
that.
of police.
And there's no place here for him to expand and have an office. I could see that going, make that a little office park or something. There's no noise, there's no pollution, but it would be very commercial.
Virtually nothing in terms of services for people here. I had 12 people each time we looked.
What do you mean by services? What would
We
some of
have
those
to
be?
go elsewhere for virtually everything.
Business, businesses?
There's no doctors, there's no medical of
Okay.
any kind, there's no telepharmacy, there's no lawyer who has an office here. We've got lawyers here, but here in Port St. Joe. So we have to leave town.
You could, if the city, if you got a government, see, that's the thing, we have controls over what kind of business you bring in. And if you bring in something that we don't like, you don't.
How does that compare to the average area? Because I don't know, is it 41%
That's
Port
high.
St. Joe or
That's high.
25 there?
That's high. So we always look at the beach and a more lucrative bunch, but we've got an aged population that has very little
Well,
in terms of
and that's maybe
services
where
and
we need
stuff to help.
To look at
So
restricting
that needs to be
independent.
addressed some of the services. You're looking at a long-term plan here. I think that that's always been left out.
have someone come in.
So are you thinking public transportation? I mean,
No, I'm thinking in terms of it's time to find a way to take what little commercial we have, general commercial property we have, zoning, and to try to find a way to bring in some types of these services. Port St. Joe started to put,
Well, yeah, they need, if somebody wants to put something, they need to float it by and see whether they're gonna meet our.
They live over them. That's an idea that can be done. A telepharmacy is something that can be put in the corner
I've
of
lived
the
here, we
store
moved down here full
and
time
done.
to wait.
It's done on computer. So they wouldn't have to go down there and get their prescriptions filled or over to Walmart in Panama City. It's time to look at these kinds of things as well.
see, I think that's a double-edged sword, because,
That was a little church.
Yeah,
and that's good, because it's different perspectives, but,
Y'all are getting into the next issue. That's not what.
oh, all right.
Yeah.
You just want to know what we are.
We're solving the world problems.
How
Yeah.
would you currently describe it? That's what-
Well, sounds like lack of services.
Got shut down.
yeah.
Lack of affordable housing is how I would describe us now.
They knew what they were.
We have 4 out of 36 city employees who can afford to live here. We have 0 police officers who can afford to
Yeah.
live here.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the things that they've been
And
talking
we
about.
need to
for over a
maintain
decade.
control
We need
of what
affordable
is put
housing.
in.
The
But
governor has to bus
And it
its
is,
people, its workers in because they can't get enough.
Point out last night was a
Um,
shortage of commercial property.
So it's
That's
not
one reason
just
to rezone that.
what-
So if we do have
what
something
we
coming
look
in,
like
like
in
an
terms
office
of
building, what's coming in
tourists,
fine.
it's-
But we need to be
What
careful
we look
what
like in terms of.
is allowed within that
Residents.
commercial. And you can put,
Residents.
Expensive housing.
you know, restrictions
Yeah,
on
I
it as
mean,
far as
we've got
how
a
to
lot of
lay out
lovely housing here. I'm
business.
not saying that,
You
but
know,
we don't have
we don't want anything that's gonna
truly
pollute, we don't want
affordable
anything that's gonna be
housing.
noisy. You know, I think you can build that
Adrian
kind
is
of
always
stuff
being
in.
asked about where are the apartments?
But are you
Can you
afraid
find
of
something to
maybe,
rent us that we can rent to you $500 a month? He's constantly getting
You
those
know,
questions.
once they get, they put in the good
We've
work.
never
You know,
had
the
that.
thing is, the other people have looked at that as a little further
So-
down the line, and come in and say, okay, the only thing.
I'm not gonna say it's
Yes.
a negative, but it's a different side.
I know, no, I just.
You know,
Already got two of
and I hear you,
Yeah, we don't
and morally I
want
hear you,
But,
but
you know,
then
I
again, I
said,
say,
we don't have.
if you're talking 30% of the population, I don't, you know, if you know that number, that's the number. So 30% of the thousands, 300 people, you've got, you know, people talk about 8,000 people here during the holiday. There's, if 300 of those people
Well, that's why you
live two per house, so you're talking
Well, I
150
remember
houses.
not too long ago,
We have how many residences?
Cupcake Lady.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
She wanted, she
residents.
asked to rezone so she could do.
Dwellings, I guess.
Which I would love for her to be able to do that, but
2,000.
once you've gone, once you've gone
2,600.
commercial, it's
Yeah.
commercial, unless you go back
So,
and rezone, back
you know,
rezone it, and then.
I hear
somebody
you,
else
but I
can
also
buy it
hear
up and just-
there's 2,300
So you gotta be
other
careful.
folks
Now,
that
that's-
probably enjoy some of those same services, don't get me
Let's try to
wrong.
wrap it up in 5
But-
minutes.
Do you really need, you know, a CVS on the corner out
Okay.
here?
What were we supposed to
And then a
do?
Rite Aid across the
Yes.
street and a car
That's not what I'm
dealer?
talking
Just
about.
saying,
And all that stuff. St. Joe, I think, has done a good job of
What are
getting
we?
satellite offices for dermatologists,
What do we
Yeah.
wanna be?
doctors that are open 3
No,
days a
what we
week or
wanna be
something
is
like
next
that,
week.
and maybe
Oh, okay.
that's what you go for, is something.
Well, then tell me
there
what
that
we
they
don't
can
want
get
to
there.
do too.
If they can't get to St. Joe, then
Panama
how are they
City
gonna
Beach.
get
We don't want to
to
be Panama City.
one side or the other of Mexico
no.
Beach? Because we're what, 3 miles long or something like that? If they have medical issues, then 3 miles is the same as 10 or not? No?
But, okay, we'll leave that for a different discussion.
We have t-shirts now.
Hey,
Yeah.
But I
Mayberry, that's-
I just think
that's not-
that
that's not bothering me at all.
right now
But Mayberry, just watch
is,
the shows, that'd be a great place to move.
there's, I just
Sheriff
think it's a
doesn't work.
broader picture that is,
Opio
that is not
selling,
being
come by and sell you peanuts.
addressed,
So,
what we are now. You're awfully quiet.
And if
You don't
people
wanna
say,
get
oh,
trouble.
Mayberry, that's tasty. You don't have to.
All right, so
It's not, you know,
I have
the thing is, it's
family,
not- that's a culture.
low-key fishing, sidewalks, swings,
That's a culture.
reluctant to change, small town.
And I
What else
like
you have?
that culture.
Well, where are you?
Growing.
Are you not?
Growing, that's a good one.
Where are you
Expensive
from
housing.
originally?
Yep.
Well, I grew up in West Texas and was born in.
I think another thing that I hear a lot is not high rise. I don't hear people saying it's
That's-
low rise, but you always, we're not high rises here.
Right.
That's
And I think
sort of a
that's-
defining term,
It's
if people
just-
can
you-
picture that
like I said, it
illustration.
must be a
I think one of the
combination
huge pluses for us is,
all those many places.
You know, if you've been up and down
Watch
the
out,
East Coast,
because my
and
family,
going towards
my
Stetson,
accent
you
chases
can't see the Gulf.
Oh, mine.
Oh,
I go up,
really?
I go to
We
Delaware,
have-
if I ever do talk to my
visibility
family,
of
when I
the
get off,
Gulf
I'm like,
is
this
unbelievable.
sound like your family.
Yeah,
I will probably get a state of law.
yeah, and that's a huge, huge help to bring in the group.
Oh.
My accent will eventually
Yes.
start.
Yeah.
Turn it
You'll
south,
start,
Oh,
it just
yeah.
naturally go that way.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So, when you talk to people, what,
We like southern.
My accent, if it came.
we kind of know what they like, what don't they
Probably
like?
from the east and.
Besides the residents, or, you know, the tourists, or the ones we're serving, do you hear there's not enough restaurants, the lines
If you
are
talk
too
to
long?
younger people, they say nothing to do.
oh,
Yeah,
Because I grew up a little.
Young-
They're
younger
usually-
meaning kids?
My kids are teenagers now, I mean 18 and 21.
That old man?
Yeah. But they've grown up in this area,
Yeah.
and so, and they hear the stories of, gosh, back when you moved here in the 8th grade, there were putt-putt golf courses and a skating rink, and there were 2 piers, and there were
This is what
things
Mexico Beach is.
to do. I don't know if they're games to go outside, if we did have those things
Right.
anymore, but there were go-kart tracks and
Friendly.
all
Okay,
those
let's
things
take one more
existed on
minute
this
to turn to your
beach.
response
And now they say
session.
that there's nothing to do. Well,
Close
okay, we can go to
knit
Tom
and
Hortons.
each other.
That's
Yep,
it.
yep.
And that's very true, because that was one of the things I had in some of the notes I had. Look at what we do
right there where Kathy's building their new building. That was one of them, was right there, and the other one was down where the club is now. That was,
I just watch them from my screen board.
I forgot the family's name, but they owned all that land, and there was a big arcade there, and a putt-putt, and a go-kart track.
Where was the stadium?
That was down across from, right beside the canal, which is now where
Unless you watch them. Yeah.
the express lane is.
Yeah.
Right.
Gas station.
Yeah, yeah. It's in terms of paying county taxes.
You know,
But,
that's nice. And then when they're gone, you can watch out for them.
No.
I
just don't-
Okay. You hear from this group first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll help you if you miss anything.
And you have to bear with me because I don't write fast.
All right, we just had a collection of phrases here. Uncrowded beaches.
Oh, that's why I'm proud at beaches.
That's.
Family
What time of
oriented.
year it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's not July.
Okay?
Fishing village.
We are. That needs to be taken into consideration. Distance.
Small town atmosphere. Contribute something to your list?
Sure, we had low key, which kind of goes with the small town atmosphere. Reluctant to change, which was an interesting one, but we've certainly all heard that. We had also expensive,
Expensive or upscale?
Expensive housing.
related to housing.
If you wanted to rent a place to live here or even buy.
Expensive housing.
Yes.
Right.
Depends how close to the beach is.
Sidewalks was one of the first ones that came up that
Walkable.
we feel like have been a great addition to the community. The sidewalk going down 98 was specifically mentioned. As opposed to getting in your car and going every place by car.
So are we saying that there's easy access or there's not easy access?
I think we're saying that it's better than it used to be and more of it would be helpful.
Well, it's walkable and it's certainly getting used if you just notice it from teenagers at nighttime to airmen running in the morning and tourists all day in between.
What was the one you had before reluctant to change?
Before reluctant to change,
Yeah.
growing.
Fishing village.
Right.
They had expensive.
Cat fishing.
You got more, Jack?
Friendly, did we have that one on there? Not high rise or low rise if it's described that way?
Traditional architecture?
I wouldn't say that, but
Yeah.
it's very similar,
I
yeah.
just go with low rise.
Variety.
Yeah,
Low rise and varied architecture.
yep, right.
I know we do have those, what, 4 or 5 skyscrapers that were built here not too many years ago. All, what, 5 stories high? I remember when those came in.
That it?
Yeah, that covers it.
This group?
Well, we said the sleepy beach town. We said that we have, family values.
Family oriented.
Yeah, family
Value
oriented,
that,
family
values that.
values, friendly, hospitable, and we said safe, because a lot of times you'll see children just unaccompanied by
Good
their
idea.
parents running on the beach, you know, and there's not really any reason to be concerned. I can remember this woman at, the Driftwood said that some little children slept out in her, backyard funhouse one night, because their parents weren't worried at all. And,
What's nice is you can walk around, we walk the back, we walk even after dark on the back streets where we are. I'm not worried.
Are you worried about bear?
Your biggest problem
Well,
is bears.
The bear.
Yeah, the bear.
The bear, yeah.
And
Miss that
then,
bear from
she said that the people who are permanent residents here are, it's a very close-knit, they help each other when needed.
If somebody has a medical problem or something, we throw a fundraiser.
Helpful community.
Yeah.
Yeah, neighborliness, whatever you want to call it.
Did I miss anything? Except for
No, I
not,
think-
not wanting to be like.
We talk about a lot of the same things that y'all
Yeah,
did.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, is there, let me go over these one at a time. If anybody disagrees with this, then let me know, okay? Uncrowded beaches, family-oriented, family values. Fishing village, small town atmosphere.
You wrote those things.
Yeah, reluctant to
He already
change,
warned
too
us.
close, I don't have my glasses. Expensive housing, growing, friendly,
Low rise.
low-rise, varied architecture, friendly, safe, and helpful community.
There's one glaring one I didn't see there. We're a tourist community also. Very big, more especially a couple.
Tourist-oriented,
Very tourist oriented for, you know, we think of it just 2 months a year, but if you really look at the amount of snowbirds.
Oh, yeah, it's year round for that.
It is year round.
So we're a fishing village, but we're also a tourist
Yeah.
village.
Now, especially on the weekends if you want this to.
And I think it goes with that, you know, from the family oriented, I used to also volunteer up at the Tourist Development Center. And can't tell you, when I've been up there, how many people coming in getting things that were here for the first time. But it was the first time from Panama City Beach, or the first time from Destin, because it just got too crowded and too unfamily, which fits right into the stuff you did.
Panama City Beach, they can't get to the beach over there unless they're stay somewhere, so they have discovered that's who we're getting over
That would be
here.
a good one to put up there. Extraordinary beach access.
That is a characteristic. Well, you talk about, well, that.
Well, uncrowded beaches, but
But
extraordinary
the
access.
access, once you get past Toucans, you pull over the side of the road and you're on the beach.
Dedicated beach.
And that is something unique that we have as opposed to
Absolutely.
Panama City Beach or
Yeah.
30A over there and all that, yeah.
Okay, does anybody disagree with anything that's up there?
Not what we do, part of our culture.
I mean, a term that's making its way around is Mayberry on Gulf.
Yep.
And that's kind of virtually what you've got reflected here.
Yeah.
A traditional family-oriented, traditional values, small community.
Say. Oh, excuse me.
Can everybody agree with that? These are kind of the values that are reflected in that. Okay, so that begs the question, without looking at things we can do to make it better, the next issue is, are you happy with where we are, or do we need to be something else? And if we need to be something else, what do we want to be?
Well, I don't think we can, we can never stay where we are. There's always.
Now, growth is inevitable, but can we control growth so that we
That's
stay
the thing, I think.
with these values, or do we control growth so we become another Destin or Panama City
I think we
Beach?
have to control growth, and as long as the citizens and the city wants these values, then we have to control growth
Yeah.
to be in line.
Now, one thing we do have is we are growth limited geographically. I mean, my idea is we're long and narrow. There's not a whole lot of room to expand. What we've got is what we've got. There's no room for a Walmart or a Publix or, something like that. We just don't have the real estate, like you mentioned yesterday. We don't have much commercial property left.
But
Short of going up 386, which is outside city.
I think you gotta think in the future, though.
Yes.
When you talk about Farmdale and down that way and annexing that in, the Back Beach Road probably won't be Mexico Beach, but, I think.
Well, that's right, that Farmdale, is that the one going out to Tyndall on the
Yeah,
left?
yeah,
Is that what they're calling it? We used to call it
And there is some commercial.
Firecracker Beach now.
There's some limited commercial designed into that.
But that's designed in.
Yeah.
Right. which
And so
will be
what
under
we're
50.
looking at doing, we know growth is inevitable, so what we have, that's what this document is gonna do, is address growth. So do we wanna address the growth, knowing that we're gonna grow, retaining this, or do we wanna change the values we have so that we become more tourist-oriented, Disney World, whatever that type of thing, are we satisfied with what we got, and manage growth, so that's what we retain? That's the issue.
Most of us moved here knowing there was no Walmart, we were gonna have to drive 40 miles. This is the community we chose to live in. And that's exactly the reason I think that people come here to stay, to get away from the hustle and bustle and to be laid back.
Well, regardless of which way you do it, we will still be tourist oriented, because that is part of the community and will continue to be. I think what it is are we going to then control growth in tourist growth in either, as you were saying, Destiny style, or make a growth for tourists, because we still need to grow for our businesses, but grow again what we put on the board over here. We are going to be that.
So do we want to, manage tourist growth so that we retain the low-rise, very type architecture without having the high-rise stuff?
We don't want high-rise. I'm happy with 48 feet.
Part of that management also is controlled by the Air Force.
So could we say that we want to retain the city's current,
Limits on
Well, not limits, but-
heights.
current architecture, current profile?
Yeah.
Profile,
We
culture.
want to retain that, it's just that it's going to grow, and we want to manage it in such a way that we basically don't change the way we look now, we're just bigger.
One thing, we can't get to be a Destin, because for those of you who remember what, I was stationed at Eglin before Destin. Destin was a sleepy fishing village, there was nothing out there on that island. And that road doesn't even exist anymore. Now it's that 8-lane superhighway. Well, we can't do that. 98 is 98. We've got 2 lanes coming through, so we're limited that way, thank goodness. They can't bulldoze and make a big one to bring a whole lot of stuff
But
in.
do remember
So the
that
development is
in the future, which is being looked at,
Yeah.
we have Back Beach, or what you want to call this, it's a golf.
Gulf to Bay.
Gulf to Bay
Yeah.
and so forth. And that the extension of Mexico Beach, potentially, even though that is now Bay County, if someone like Farmdale builds in Bay County, there's always a chance they could come in through.
Annexation?
And ask for annexation.
And that's probably a good one we need to think about.
And don't discount the power of FDOT. because
Right.
They can come in here, and I'm not saying they will, but they can come in here and make that a 6-lane road
Sure.
if they want to.
So they're gonna have to buy up an awful lot of houses.
They're doing it right now in Panama City, on
Yeah.
390.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's becoming a 6-lane road.
And we didn't decide to take ownership of this stretch of highway when we
Well-
had the chance.
But that has nothing to, the ownership of that is in reference to care and feeding of the road. The road will be turned once, if they do, the road behind us, the Gulf to Bay or whatever it is, that road is, and it's stated by the state, that they will turn that in back to the counties or city, would probably be 30A, assuming it's what it's gonna be called up here also. But, what we declined was to the fee and the care of it, of going out and making sure we have the money from the small town to blacktop that thing from one end to the other.
Well, I was just saying that since we did not decide to do that, that they could.
It reverts to Bay County.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so does anybody disagree that our growth objective should be to retain what we currently have, just manage growth so that we don't change, just get bigger?
I think in some ways, though, we have changed a lot. And one concern that I have is that we're becoming an almost purely residential community. When I moved here in the 8th grade, and the complaint from my kids now, and I think you probably heard this from most kids, but there's nothing to do here. My kids are now 18 and 21 years old. But as a dad, back when you grew up here, there were 2 different you talk about the putt-putt golf courses. There were 2 of them. There were 2 piers that went into the water. There were 3 marinas. There was a skating rink. There were there were things to do, and I think the only way that that's gonna come back is if it's through almost non-traditional businesses that might wanna locate a go-kart track back here somewhere. And I can just imagine the uproar that we would get on something like, they probably didn't get that 30 years ago when I was growing up here, but I think you'd get that now.
Well, there's a lot more undeveloped land. All the land that stuff was on is probably somebody's house now.
So
Butts and all
the
that.
more we turn into affluent people that come here and have very grand beach homes, there is a change from less for their kids to do, and the profile of the community will change, in my opinion.
So what you're basically saying, you know, talking about upscale homes and stuff, what we want to do is make the housing affordable, which I heard mentioned over here earlier. You know, and I don't know how we can do that.
I'm kind of confused about,
It's market driven unless you own, unless you something, now that's why you have, I hate to use the word project, but that's why some cities own community development associations so they can control the rent and they won't skyrocket for people who need that type of assistance. But you can't control the market. If somebody wants to sell their house for the market rate, it's going to sell at the market rate.
And you can't control what's going to come in, more especially where we are now, because we are small and landlocked. What we can do as far as future plan is to look for more commercial enterprises, you know, that fit our culture.
And what you can do also is control the size, the maximum square footage the house can be.
You can, I mean, I
That will
understand.
help keep it from
Depends on what
mega
you want.
mansions.
Interesting.
You've got that now that's.
Can't build it, can you? No, do that on 38, you can do 50,000 square feet if you want it, but not here.
Which one? The ones that are,
Uh-huh.
I don't know where they're.
which one, who's 6,000 square feet?
Where's the house that you say
It's
is
down on the,
Marina,
The water.
the canal?
it's, well, the one I've been told about is not kind of approved yet. Is the one you're talking about approved? Okay, now this one is still under permitting.
Okay. So do we want to, that first page, these are the, I won't say the values, but basically descriptions of what we are now. So this is what we want to look like in the future with the following additional, at least one thing, encourage commercial growth.
To follow along.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not there.
Just to support,
To support
Support
the
the
residents,
way we-
vision, the current vision.
the status quo.
Yeah.
Anything else? That's one thing to add. Anything else?
Well, get back to the previous page, I didn't really ask the question when I should have about the expensive housing. Can we talk about what that means?
Well, in my case, I own a business here and there are 8 of us, and I'm the only one that lives in Mexico Beach. For me to attract employees that are college graduates, we're an advertising and marketing firm, they will live in Port St. Joe or they will live in Panama City. Where's an apartment complex? What can you get for roughly $900 to $1,000 a month? And, well, you can get something maybe in the winter for a few months, but you can't have it in the summer. And so that's,
Yeah, and our geography drives that.
Yeah.
In reality, you don't have the beaches in Panama City, you don't have the beaches in Port St. Joe. So it's like a real estate agent, will tell you, location.
but Port St. Joe's addressing that right now with some affordable apartment homes back in the backside of North Port St. Joe. I can't think of the name of it, but Gateway, and they're about to open, and you know, they dealt with the same issue for a long, long time.
Is that
That's
something the city council would want to deal with?
That's, all of this has got to come in front, and that's, you know, would be, but, you know, I think that's got to come from here and from the citizens if they want us to grow in this area. One thing we have to consider is where, because right now we don't have, we can't control Port St. Joe property right now. I think probably if you were looking at that, and this is just Bill, me, sitting here, just me, the only way you're gonna get that is to work somehow or another with Bay County. And if we were working that area to try and look at some of the city.
One of the things the comp plan says right now is have affordable housing available. And that's very subjective, because what's affordable to me, you know, is, I can't afford what Donald Trump does, and a lot of people can't afford what I can. So affordable is subjective, and we need to put a definition on that. And if we do, that's something we need to address in another session.
There actually is a definition in the statutes about what's affordable, and it has to do with median income and 30% of your, there's a big formula out
Right.
there. It has to do with the average wage of the people in the area and their 30% of their income, and that would be the rent.
Okay.
Is that something that we want to shoot for? You know?
I think it's something that we have to define and recognize what we have now and what we're trying to get to.
Well, when we first moved here, we rented a furnished place right there on 32nd Street, and it was $1,200 a month, furnished. I mean, I think that's affordable. I mean, would one of your employees think that that's affordable?
No.
No.
So
And
the
you're
difference
talking
between
probably
900 and
rental homes.
1,200
Well, I mean,
is
they're also-
too much.
They're also 23 years old and right out of college and
Right.
hoping to find a 2-bedroom apartment for $950 a month. And
And they're not coming here for the beach and all that. They're coming
it
here-
doesn't need to be right there. It could be a mile back that way and they'd be
The other,
fine with it.
and that's in your industry where you're looking at kids out of college. We are still the tourist industry, and we have a lot of people working that industry who are looking for that $500 a month,
Exactly.
one bedroom.
Well, like somebody just said, you can go down to Two Kings, where are all those servers and cooks living?
They don't live here.
All the worker bees around here, the city employees, where are they living? They can't afford to live, they must be living probably in Beacon Hill back in the back, I mean, I don't know.
That's something that we need to address, but that would be a different session.
Yeah,
When we get to the future land use issue.
and does the city want to get into the business of affordable,
The city is.
of building affordable housing or contracting out, you know, that's, yeah, like I say, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
That's not-
There are affordable housing developers out there, but they have to meet certain parameters in order to get their federal tax dollars and all that stuff. One of those things is proximity to a grocery store.
Publix is 30 miles.
Did Adrian leave?
He's in the back room.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's talk about, that's basically what we are, basically what we want to say. Encourage more tourist growth and business opportunities as long as we can keep within this framework. Okay. Are there any other values that we want to promote in addition to this? Some things that you're concerned about, like maximize property owners' property rights, things like that. Safety's an issue, we've already got that up there. There's some things the state requires, and we can't get into that because we're gonna have to do that based on what the state's asking for. But is there anything else that we want to focus on up here?
What did you mean? You said maximize property owners' rights?
Property rights in accordance with the public good.
I say yes to
Not
residents.
over-regulated.
Thank you.
No overcrowding, that's a value that I think we need to have too.
You know, part of that's already in your LDR because you can only split a property so many ways.
Well, that's what I was thinking about with this affordable housing, is that where would you put it?
We don't have.
Well, exactly, that's what we're talking about, push up into Bay County.
The thing, it may be in the LDR, but the LDR is supposed to be driven by this, so if it's not in here, there's no place for it in the LDR. So is that something we need to add?
You'd have to
Because it's
do.
not in there.
You can have regulations in the LDRs that aren't specifically tied to a policy in the plan.
Okay.
It just can't be inconsistent or go against what the plan says.
Okay, what the final question was, how do we want to organize the city? Okay, right now, as I mentioned earlier, we've got most of the tourist-oriented stuff, west of 15th Street. The primary residential stuff is east of it. We currently have businesses mixed in with residents. Do we want to try and isolate the businesses all in one area? Do we like the intermixing we've got now? Do we want to have more parks? Do we want to have more public access to things like that? Do we have enough green space? Generally, that's the issue here. And I'd rather have a work group. Let's just, somebody just throw out some
Jim, I
ideas.
think one thing is the comp plan is not up to where we are as a city as far as the, where we have our tourists and so forth. It's not all at that end. There may be more of a concentration there, but all through our neighborhoods regardless, homes are built and are put in place for rental purposes, and hopefully they'll appreciate them where people can either move here and live in them when they retire or sell them somewhere else. And that's, we have huge amount of properties through our city.
That's true, but you can't tell a property owner what he can do with his property. So
Absolutely.
everybody
But-
down here could rent, but you can still go with what we've got now, is to take, all those things are business oriented and try and.
Business oriented, like
and-
hotels and so forth that are tourist oriented and tourist oriented businesses. Yes, you can. You're right. That's down there. But the city itself, and I think that's part of our culture that you have right there, is that we have tourists throughout our community.
There's discussion, I think it's in this, that talks about certain areas and only renting for 180 days.
Okay, so there was something I didn't really mention in here that I came across after I had sent this to Mel, was that, and it just didn't hit me until a couple weeks ago, that the legislature over the past several years has tried to, certain legislatures throughout the state have tried to allow local governments to regulate short-term rentals and where they can locate. But currently the statutes say you cannot, as a local government, regulate the location of short-term rentals. So this tourist residential category that you currently have
Right, that's got to
doesn't
go
really
away.
mean anything.
Right, so there are rentals all through.
Yes, and you can't.
Mexico Beach.
You can't regulate it.
Right.
So,
Well, even if we could, it would be a lousy time to start coming in and try to and keep our values that we have here. If we came back in and said, this is what we want and we need to regulate it, it's there and you just can't backfill.
so we probably really need to examine this tourist residential category to begin with.
Yeah, that's probably one of the work group sessions we've got coming up.
Because you can, if you have a single family home in the residential category today and the neighbors are renting it out to people from Alabama, there's really nothing you can do about it.
The only thing I think in tourist residential and looking at it, it does control number of lot sizes and.
Yes, you can certainly do that. Right. Yep. But whether or not somebody rents out their home on short-term rental.
Hey, Adrian,
He's asleep, don't wake him up.
have you got, that thing that, I had you prepared for council, it's got intent purpose? Okay, that's pretty much, you've pretty much accomplished what I had, as a goal today. Now, hopefully, what we'll do, get published, and you tell me where it's gonna be, okay? The new comp plan, as we make changes in the comp plan, it'll be posted on the city website somewhere, and then we've got a Gmail address, mbcompplan@gmail.com. You can send in your comments on it, suggestions or whatever. So, and everything that we get, become part of the public record, and we will address at the next workshop.
What is it, MB?
mbcompplan@gmail.com.
Jim, are you having Mel put that information, as long as you're working on it, on the back of the water bills so it gets out to?
Well, the comp is not just that.
I know.
You're saying just to notify them of
Yeah,
it,
because we
that it's
have,
on the
regardless,
website.
one, we have a lot of people who are not, again, half of our homes are owned by people who do not live here.
Yeah, we asked that question before, and apparently there's so much space taken up by stuff right now that there's no room for it. That's why my idea was to put something under the news portion of the city website which said, this is the meeting, and this is what we're gonna have, this is what we're gonna address.
Some people don't think to go to the website,
Right.
but they see it on the back of a water, but they do read the back of a water bill.
But a lot of them get the water bills by electronic, so they don't get the letter either. But I think you just need as many places as we can put it out.
In the new water bill that's coming out, you'll see that I did put the first paragraph devoted to this, that go to the website. I did mention the mbcomplan@gmail.com email address as well. I referred them to the website, and so hopefully that will do the trick.
That's
Good.
That's all you need, really.
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
that website.
where are we gonna put her draft?
We can put it on the news,
Okay.
because that's something that Ada and I can post to very quickly. Otherwise, I've got to have a webmaster do some magic.
Okay.
Doesn't always happen quickly.
Where's the news?
It's under
Just go to
residents
next
and
city
property
website.
owners
Right.
section of the website.
Oh, okay.
Okay, one other thing, okay, so that's where we're gonna go with this, and then, as I mentioned earlier, I'll brief the council, you know, after we have a workshop, and this is what we've done there. Now, the next thing we've got scheduled, and this is just tentative, is to address sections 2 through 7 of the comp plan, and that's everything before future land use. And she's already got a lot of that stuff already taken off of her. So that's what we're planning on addressing. And when you put it on there, you just say sections 2 through 7 and refer to the comp plan, because that's already on our portion of the website. So people know what we're dealing with. So what we need to come up with is a date for that. And we had talked earlier about trying to do 2 workshops in a month so we don't draw this thing out. And if we get through that fast, then, you know, next time then we'll go straight into the future land use issue. She's already got a lot of things identified in the future land use that we need to work on. So if we come up with more, we'll come up with more. Definitely right now we can plan on what she's addressed. Okay, we have, so today's the 1st. Can I get a proposal for another meeting? And do you want to have it at night, or do you prefer to have it in the afternoon?
Evening for me.
Evening for you.
I like this time.
Okay,
I'm
anyone
open,
else?
doesn't matter.
Preferences?
Flexible.
Okay. 2 weeks from today would be the 14th. Anybody available for the 14th?
I think
The 15th?
50.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
15th.
15th, I'm sorry.
Is that a Tuesday?
It's on a Tuesday.
you know, I-
15th?
There's no city council meeting or anything like that?
Luckily, ours are the 2nd and 4th.
Okay, so the 15th was
So the 3rd Tuesday will be fine.
Okay, so what we can do in preparation for that, the next meeting on the 15th will be at the same time, same place. Take a look at what we have now, and then Adrian's draft will be posted by that time, as soon as she's eliminated, and what recommendations she has, and then we can discuss all that and see if we need to go anywhere else.
Okay, and that's gonna be posted where?
It'll be posted under the news section of the city website,
The MexicalBeach.gov?
MexicoBeach.gov. And what we come up with tonight, I hoped I had given Adrian before kind of a schematic or a short blurb on what I wanted our intent to look like and our goals and stuff to look like. So that will be posted when when her thing is posted in there. That will show up somewhere in there. What we came up with tonight, and I guess, can you put that in italics or something so they'll know that this is what we've recently done?
So obviously her name is
We
Adrian.
can do it in a different color or something.
Okay,
Different color font.
okay.
so
So let's say,
Our eight.
whatever color you want to do it.
We can do blue.
Okay, so the changes or what we've come up with tonight will show up in blue.
Okay.
the ones you already did were blue.
Well, so let me make sure I understand.
See, I'm not sure what product you're ending up with.
I
So we're ending up with this product that she's already done, which is her draft.
Right,
And then she will go back in and, in the first part of it, intent and purpose, we'll list, this is who we want to be, and this is how we're going to
Okay.
do it. And that's what we'll be doing.
Okay, so tonight, we're just amending the intent and purpose?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then in the future, then we'll actually address what you've already addressed it.
So basically, this is what she's already lined out, and
Yeah,
it's attached.
she's already come out with stuff that she feels is superfluous. And remember, the board basically already talked about it, or some of us have. We believe it's superfluous too. So she's singing along the same lines with me.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have anything else?
I've got, I went through line by line on her comments, so I'll just pass those to her on, more nitpicking
Yeah, as
questions and stuff.
All we do
not
is we
to-
hit each section we're supposed to address.
Right,
Okay, so she's not over.
So this
Right.
is just section 1 ordinance, just
Yes.
for the
And then
next.
section 2 through 7. the next. And everything I was thinking should be much easier now that we know exactly what we're going to do.
Did you get a copy?
Okay, anyone else with any comments? Okay, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, meeting's adjourned.
I like the way you run meetings.
You're a great facilitator, you really are.